Breaking news, internet fam, grab your popcorn, your emotional support water bottle, and maybe even your stress ball. Because what I'm about to tell you makes every reality TV feud you've ever seen look like a friendly game of Uno at grandma's house. Talking lies, betrayal, and text messages so incriminating they make the Kardashian group chat look like a church newsletter. Have you ever wondered what happens when the Queen of Shade, Spice herself, decides she's had enough? When she stops smiling for the cameras and starts pulling receipts like she's running a Black Friday sale on betrayal. And did I mention those receipts are aimed directly at BAMBI, the woman who, till now, had been strutting around like the Beyoncé of loyalty? Yeah, not anymore. And somewhere in the middle of this emotional demolition derby is poor Scrappy, who just had his heart drop-kicked into the next galaxy. We're talking about a heartbreak so raw, even Taylor Swift would say, "Damn, that's rough." But here's the thing. This isn't just a messy breakup. This is scandal cinema. Are you, my friends, are front row for the most chaotic show on earth. So buckle up, because the tea is volcanic. All right, internet detectives, get ready, because what I am about to unpack is the kind of chaos that makes you cancel your evening plans and sit glued to your screen with one hand on your coffee and the other on the replay button. This is not just drama. This is the sort of high-octane emotional demolition that reality TV dreams are made of. We have Spice, the unapologetic queen of calculated shade who can slice someone in half with a single raised eyebrow. And then we have Bambi, the woman who has spent seasons convincing everyone she is the ride or die, the loyal wife, the unshakable friend. But according to the evidence about to hit you in the face, that ride might have had a few unscheduled detours, and poor Scrappy, the man caught dead center in this emotional hurricane, just had his trust shattered in front of millions. Now here is the thing, this scandal did not just appear out of nowhere like a mystery package on your doorstep. No, this has been brewing behind the scenes for months. The whispers started quietly, the kind of hushed speculation you hear at cast dinners when the cameras stop rolling, and the wine has kicked in. Anonymous DMs from people who claim to have seen things, who claim to have heard things, started sliding into inboxes at odd hours. Every little rumor adding one more crack to the perfect picture Bambi has been painting online. All glossy photos, matching outfits, and captions about loyalty and faithfulness. But if you have been paying attention, the signs were there. Maybe it was that Instagram story that popped up one night and vanished 20 minutes later, or the moment during last season's reunion when Spice's smile at Bambi looked just a little too sharp and Bambi's laugh seemed just a little too forced. These women have never exactly been best friends. Their history is littered with subtle digs and frosty silences, hugs that looked like they were timed with a stopwatch, and compliments that could double as insults. And through it all, Scrappy was playing referee, smiling at both sides, and probably convincing himself that if he just stayed neutral long enough, the Cold War would thaw. But Spice is not the type to let a Cold War drag on. She is the type to show up with the whole military and win in a single afternoon. The backstory here is deep. Spice and Bambi have had tension simmering since before most fans even realized if the reunion special months ago was apparently the turning point. My sources, and yes, these are totally real sources and not my cousin's friend's Uber driver, swear there was an off-camera moment where Bambi let something slip, a comment about a man she should not have been talking to, and Spice filed that moment away like a lawyer locking a key piece of evidence in a safe. Fast forward to now, and that safe has been cracked wide open and the contents are explosive. Spice decided this healing session would be the perfect stage. The producers thought they were getting a heartfelt group therapy vibe. Some candlelight, a little meditation, maybe a tearful group hug. Instead, they got a front row seat to a full-scale public execution of Bambi's reputation. The cast were seated in that awkwardly arranged circle that only exists on reality TV, the air already thick with something unspoken. Spice sat still, perfectly still, waiting for the moment to strike. Then she stood up and walked to the center of the room like she owned it. Her body language, pure control, no yelling, no wild gestures, quiet power. And when she pulled out her phone, you could feel the collective inhale from everyone in the room. She said she had receipts, and when Spice says receipts, she does not mean vague rumors or blurry screenshots. She means video evidence in high definition. The first clip played on her phone, Bambi in a nail salon, laughing a little too intimately with none other than Spice's ex, shirtless and leaning close. This was not friendship. This was an audition for a scandal. Scrappy's face went white. The kind of pale that comes when you have just realized your entire relationship might have been a lie. His knuckles turned white, gripping the chair, and you could almost hear the gears turning in his head as he replayed every moment, every promise, every smile, and wondered if it had all been fake. Gasps echoed around the room. The energy shifted. Instantly, Bambi's eyes darted from face to face, trying to gauge the damage, but Spice was just getting started. She tapped her phone again and brought up the next clip. This time, a FaceTime call, even closer, even more undeniable, the intimacy radiating. From the screen, one of the crew members actually looked like they might faint. A few cast members leaned in, practically salivating for the next bomb. Others shifted uncomfortably, not ready to be part of the public takedown, but Spice was relentless. Bambi snapped, standing up, her voice raised, telling Spice she was embarrassing her, but Spice did not raise her voice in return. She just calmly said, "No, Bambi, this is you. This is what you have been hiding." The words landed harder than a scream. The group started to divide right in front of us. Erica Mina's eyes locked on the phone. Jessica Dime whispering to someone beside her. The so-called healing session had transformed into a courtroom with Spice as judge, jury, and executioner. Bambi's cheeks flushed, her voice trembling as she tried to explain, but Spice's smirk told us she was nowhere near finished. The tension was so thick, it felt like if you waved your hand in front of you, it might slice open. Spice told her she had more evidence, and she let that statement hang in the air like a threat, the weight of it pressing down on everyone. And just as Bambi tried to regain her composure, someone from the side of the room stood up. Amy, the quiet one, the one nobody ever suspects. She pulled out her phone, and suddenly it was like a tag team match. Amy had her own receipts, a video of Bambi texting Spice's ex from a burner phone, the message plain as day. "I am still playing my part. Do not worry." The room gasped again. This time even louder. Bambi's head dropped. She was cornered. The perfect wife act shattered in seconds, and for the first time all night you could see fear in her eyes. Scrappy's jaw tightened, his breathing heavy. The man was a volcano. Seconds from eruption, the circle of castmates was no longer just watching. They were feeding on the chaos. Every second that passed was another piece of Bambi's carefully crafted image turning to dust. Scrappy leaned forward, elbows on his knees, staring at the floor like it could give him answers, but the room was already spinning into full scale pandemonium, voices overlapping, the kind of chaotic noise that makes you feel like you are watching a slow motion car crash. Spice, still standing in the center with her phone in hand like a sword that had just tasted blood, was not done. She looked directly at Bambi with that calm, controlled fire that says, "I have been waiting for this moment longer than you know." And then, without a single ounce of hesitation, she dropped another clip onto the screen. This one not just flirty, not just suspicious, but downright damning. A video of Bambi and Spice's ex in what could only be described as a private dinner, setting candles, wine, and the kind of body language that screamed, "This is more than friendship." Scrappy's head shot up, his eyes locked on Bambi, but she could not meet his gaze. She was too busy trying to come up with a story that would make this look like anything other than what it was. The silence between them was louder than the voices around them, and then it broke all at once with a sharp laugh from Spice, a laugh that was equal parts disbelief and triumph. She told the room she had been holding on to this for months, waiting to see if Bambi would come clean on her own, but that patience had expired. The audience of cast members was eating it up, some smirking, others whispering, every single one of them knowing this moment was going to explode online within hours. Bambi finally snapped, telling Spice she was obsessed with her trying to ruin her marriage, but Spice shot back with a simple line, "If your marriage can be ruined by the truth, maybe." It was not as strong as you thought. The weight of those words hung in the air like smoke. Scrappy stood up, pacing now, one hand rubbing the back of his neck, the other gripping his phone as though he was about to start dialing every mutual friend they had to confirm or deny what he was seeing. But before he could get a word in, Spice pulled up a series of screenshots, text messages that left nothing to the imagination. The language explicit, the plans detailed, there was no room for interpretation. And the fact that Bambi's name and photo sat at the top of those messages was the nail in the coffin. Bambi's face shifted from defensive to panicked as she reached out toward Spice, saying those were fake, that she was being set up. But nobody in the room seemed convinced. The more she spoke, the more her voice cracked. The more she looked like someone watching their carefully constructed house of cards collapse in slow motion. Scrappy finally stopped pacing, turning to her with a look that was half hurt, half rage, and asked the one question that cut deeper than anything else: how long has this been going on? And the thing about silence in moments like that is it says more than any words could. She did not answer, and that was answer enough. Spice crossed her arms, tilting her head just slightly, like she had won a game she knew she would win from the start. The crew behind the cameras was moving like sharks, sensing blood in the water, zooming in on faces, catching every twitch, every flicker of emotion, because this was reality TV gold, the kind of scene that would be replayed and memed and dissected for weeks. Bambi turned to leave, but Scrappy stepped in front of her, blocking the door, not aggressively, but with enough presence to let her know that walking away would not erase what had just been revealed. His voice was low but steady as he told her they were going to talk about this tonight, and it was not going to be off camera. That line hit everyone like a slap, because in this world, off camera is the only safe place to have real conversations, and now even that was off the table. Spice sat down finally, her job done for the moment, sipping her drink as though she had not just detonated a nuclear bomb in the middle of the room. Bambi slumped into her chair, looking smaller than she had all night. Her shoulders hunched, her eyes glassy. The others around the circle tried to shift the energy, some making awkward jokes, others suggesting they move on to another topic. But it was useless. The air was too heavy to charge. Scrappy's phone buzzed, and he glanced down, reading something that made his eyebrows shoot up. He turned the screen around, showing it to the nearest person, who immediately covered their mouth in shock. Apparently, word was already spreading outside the room faster than anyone could have predicted. A fan account had posted blurry screenshots of the very video Spice had just shown, and it was already racking up thousands of shares. Bambi's head snapped up, hearing that now it was not just the room, it was the world, and she knew the internet was about to have a field day. Her voice dropped to a whisper, saying, "This is going to ruin everything." But even in that whisper, you could hear the realization that maybe, just maybe, she had done that to herself. Spice leaned in one last time before leaning back with a smirk and telling her, "You cannot ruin what was never real." The tension was so thick it was almost suffocating, and even though the cameras were still rolling, nobody said a word for several long seconds. Scrappy finally sat back down, but his body was still tense, like a coiled spring ready to snap. The room felt colder now, even though nothing had changed physically, and Bambi kept her eyes locked on the floor, as if avoiding eye contact could somehow slow the damage unfolding around her. The crew members were exchanging subtle glances, already aware they had captured something that would dominate every blog and gossip channeled by morning. Spice casually checked her phone, scrolling through the flood of notifications from fans and industry insiders sending her messages of support and congratulations for finally exposing what many had suspected for months. And the more Bambi sat in silence, the more the perception shifted against her outside of that room in the digital world. Comments were pouring in, some calling her a hypocrite, others laughing at how confidently she had denied rumors in the past, only for receipts to surface. Now, Scrappy leaned forward again, his voice low and steady, but colder than before, as he asked if there was anything else he needed to know. Bambi swallowed hard, her lips parting like she was about to speak, but instead, she just shook her head, and that tiny gesture carried more weight than a full confession. Spice was still sitting back, but you could tell she was savoring every second, her fingers tapping her phone screen as if each click was another nail in. BAMBI'S coffin. And someone in the back whispered that even more footage existed. Footage that had not yet been shown, and that idea alone seemed to drain the last bit of color from Bambi's face. Scrappy's breathing was heavier now, his mind clearly racing through every conversation, every moment that suddenly felt different in the light of what he had just learned. A couple of the others tried to lighten the mood, but their voices fell flat against the thick atmosphere. The tension had become its own character in the room. Spice finally stood up, adjusting her outfit like she had just closed a business deal, and announced she was done here for now, but that she would be watching to see how the rest of this played out. Bambi flinched at the words like they were a warning shot. Scrappy didn't move as she left, his gaze fixed on some point in the distance, as though he was already picturing the fallout. The door closed behind her, but the echo seemed to linger, and almost immediately phones buzzed again, this time with headlines from gossip sites already framing the story with dramatic titles about betrayals, secrets, and heartbreak. The speed at which the narrative was escaping their control was staggering. Bambi finally spoke, saying she could fix this, that people would believe her side if she could just get ahead of it. But the problem was, she did not sound convincing, not even to herself. Scrappy shook his head slowly, telling her the problem wasn't just the messages or the video. It was that he didn't know if he could trust anything she had said for a long time. That line landed like a gut punch, and Bambi leaned back, her hands covering her face as if hiding from the cameras could somehow shield her from the truth. The crew kept filming, of course. Every tear, every twitch, every desperate glance, because in this world pain sells, and this was top-shelf primetime pain. Outside the production bubble, rumors were already mutating into wilder versions. Anonymous accounts claiming inside knowledge, dropping outrageous claims that blurred the line between truth and entertainment. Hashtags started trending, memes popped up, turning raw emotion into internet punchlines, and the machine was in full motion. Scrappy's phone buzzed again, and this time when he looked, his expression darkened further. Apparently one of his closest friends had just texted him saying they had known about the situation for weeks but had stayed quiet, not wanting to get involved. That betrayal, layered on top of the one sitting in front of him, seemed to push him past the point of holding back. He told Bambi that he was going to get to the bottom of every single thing, whether she liked it or not, and she needed to decide if she was going to come clean or keep letting other people speak for her. She nodded weakly, but there was no real commitment in her eyes, more like someone just trying to survive the moment. The rest of the night passed in a blur of half conversations and lingering glares, the cameras catching every fragment, and even as the crew began to wrap up, you could feel the energy had shifted in a way that could not be undone. When Scrappy finally stood to leave, he didn't look back, and when Bambi tried to follow, he stopped her with a quiet, firm statement that they would talk when he was ready, which in their world could mean hours, days, or never. The door shut behind him, and she was left sitting alone in a room that felt far too big for one person, the silence pressing down until it was almost unbearable. Somewhere outside in the distance, the faint sound of Spice's laughter carried back into the space like a final reminder that this was far from over. And there you have it, folks, the kind of chaos that makes you question if reality TV is scripted or if real life is just this messy every single day. Now the receipts have been spilled, the messages are out, and the damage is done, but what happens next is the real show. Will Bambi manage to spin this into some tearful redemption arc? Or will Scrappy cut her off completely and let the internet finish her career? Will Spice really sit back, or does she have even more tea waiting to drop? The only thing we know for sure is that this is just the tip of the iceberg. And if this is how explosive things are now, imagine what's hiding under the surface. So, I want to hear from you. Do you think Bambi can bounce back from this? Or is this her final curtain call? Do you believe Spice was just exposing the truth, or was she playing a long calculated game to destroy Her rival, drop your theories, your wildest guesses, and your hottest takes in the comments below. And if you're ready for the next chapter in this madness, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications because the next twist is coming.